Welcome to the Lucidus podcast. My name is Shelly Sawyer Jensen, and on this podcast, we explore everything because everything is related, and because I believe in the infinite, unbounded potential within each of us, which means everything's possible. So today is very special because I have a guest. And this is my first time in 2.5 years where I have felt like it was time to have a guest. And so what I've done is created 3 questions that I thought would be interesting to ask. And I'm going to ask my dear friend Paul here if he does not know the questions. So Paul, welcome.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being my first guest and my guinea pig. So, okay, so I'm going to ask you 3 questions, which you do not know, and just let you answer them however it feels right for you. Does that feel
Okay.
good? Okay. Anything you want to say before we start?
No, I just want to let your audience know that Shelly and I have been friends for a long time. We met 3 years ago in Beaufort, South Carolina, and that's where I live, St. Helena Island. And I'm just excited to be your first guest.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so the first question, and it's really not that unique, so I'm curious to hear how you're going to take it. And what's the lesson that you feel you learned a little too late in life? What did you learn a little too late in life?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because that actually came up today.
Oh,
Um, my daughter asked me like how do I remain so positive? And I have not always been this way. And it was kind of like there was always times, and I guess a lot of people feel that way, where there's so much external pressure coming at you, and it can be incredibly overwhelming. And it could take many forms. I mean, it could be loss of a job, divorce, you know death of a loved one, whatever it may be. um, and I think, and this is fairly recent. I would allow that to consume me. Like, basically, I would wake up with a feeling of like, oh my God, I have to deal with this. You know, like in my case, we had bankruptcy, we had IRS audit, and things like that. And then, last year I had the death of my brother, which really hit hard. My younger brother. So getting back to your question, the lesson that I learned was, and I told my daughter this today. I said, just focus on the things that you have control over, right? If something is getting to the point of being overwhelming, and and it's becoming all consuming, like, just I guess compartmentalize it to smaller pieces that you can deal with, right? And then the other thing I told her was, like, do not focus on the future, because you don't know what the future is going to hold. It's like, if you're worried about, an irate customer in your business, or if you're, taking a test tomorrow in case of her being a student, it's like you don't know what the outcome of that's going to be. So it's just like, just focus in on the moment. Don't worry about it, because it's never as bad as you think it's going to be, right? It's just like, you know, you can project like the worst case outcome, and it never comes to fruition. So why like spend your entire day or several days just fixating on it? Just concentrate on the moment, because that's really all we have. We're not promised tomorrow, and yesterday's already happened, right? So I guess that was kind of the lesson that I wanted to portray to her, that I wish I had known sooner. It's like if I had been able to, like years ago, had that have that same outlook, I would have definitely have had a happier life, and I'm glad that I'm there now. That's all I could say. So yeah, just basically, deal with the things that you can, that you have control over. Don't fixate on the things that you can't, and stop worrying about tomorrow, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So those are the two lessons that I wish that I had known sooner.
So, well, I can attest to that. Your positivity is something that I have always admired, and kind of wondered at myself, like, how does he remain? Like, how does he do that? And it's something I struggle with. It's something I struggle with, and so it's interesting. It's interesting to me that that's the lesson you shared. So very much do I admire that trait in you.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's like, once you realize that the events or circumstances that you don't have control over, they don't necessarily have power over you, right? They don't necessarily do. So it's like, once you realize that, it's like, why am I fixated on it? Why am I worried about it? Like, and we'll get on to your next question in a second. I promise.
It's fine.
It's like so many people are like struggling financially, and that's an issue, and it's a real issue. I mean, people have, um, they struggle with, strangling debt, or loss of a job or something like that. But it's like, once you release yourself from some of that, it gets a little easier. It definitely gets a little easier. Anyway, I am ready for your next question.
Hmm. You're ready. I want to say I really liked the way you said we we aren't promised tomorrow.
No.
We aren't promised tomorrow. Yeah. So okay, thank you very much. I love that. Okay, and then what is your second question? What am I currently learning?
Oh, wow.
Now you
So
get to get real.
it's interesting that you even mentioned that too, because it's kind of like, you know well, a couple of things. I mean, we haven't spoken to each other in a while, but this year I'm turning the big 65. Woohoo! Right?
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I am excited about retirement,
Mm.
and I'm definitely counting out of the days to retire. So, I mean, that being the case, you have to think about like what's on the other side of retirement. So, what I'm doing is, and this is an example, like right now, this, like, you would ask me to do a podcast, right? And you didn't tell me what the questions were going to be. We haven't spoken to each other in a while. It could be like, well, I don't know if I want to do this. It's like, maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I don't want to put myself out there, that kind of thing. But the one thing that I have definitely learned now, and that might go back to, you know, you're not promised tomorrow, is like, if the opportunities come up, you just have to take them. You just have to take them. It's like, you know, what what would the downside be by not doing it, right? Just step out there, step out there and just do it. And I'm going to give you an example.
Okay. I'm
So,
ready.
um, around December, um, my family and I went to again, we live on a small island in South Carolina, St. Helena Island. Well, it's not geographically small, but we have a very small population. The island is 65 square miles, but we have about 8,000 people that live here. So it has a very small population. So we're a very tight knit community. So we went to a Christmas dinner, and there was a woman that was sitting at our table, and she said, she's talking to us. She said she was a singer songwriter, and she plays at a local. It's a bar, pizza parlor on Harbor Island, which is the next island over. And I said, yeah, I play piano and keyboards. And she kept asking me to play, right? And I kept refusing, okay? And then finally I just said, what the heck? I'm just going to do it. So I packed up my I learned a couple of songs. I packed up my keyboard, brought it over to this pizza parlor, and played. And I tell you, I thought I was horrible. I mean, missing notes, can't keep timing. I was trying to sing, all this stuff. But then she asked me to come back, right? And now we're going to be doing a regular rehearsal every Wednesday, and we're going to make it a regular thing. And actually, I'm starting to sound better.
I love it. Okay.
So what am I learning now? I mean, what I'm learning now is basically, you know, step out there, do what you need to do, and your life will be better. Like, the other thing was, I was reading a book, and I can't remember what the name of the book was, but it was talking about how, friendship and community is, is kind of a pathway to, long life longevity. Okay. And how a lot of us, especially men, our friendships drop off, and then we become more and more isolated. And this is a big problem with older men. Okay. So I read this, and I was walking around my neighborhood, and I saw this one guy at his house, and I invited him out for a drink. And then I saw another guy around the corner, and I invited him out for a drink. And now we have a regular thing there too, right? So it's kind of like and I consider myself an extreme introvert too. And Shelly, I don't know if you know that. Maybe you do. Maybe you remember. I don't know, but I consider myself to be an extreme introvert. So just like to do these things is not I guess part of my nature, but I feel that again, what is there to lose? I mean, if I invite, a stranger out for a drink, they may say no. But if they want, and that's the other thing too. It's like I get a sense that people want connection, okay, and they're happy when somebody is offering it to them. Like there was a friend of mine who I grew up with, but I lost touch with him, and I've known him since we were Cub Scouts, and I kept and we reconnected last year when his one of his sons got married and I was invited. And then I kept saying, Tim, let's do this men's weekend in the Bahamas. and we finally did it a few weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
It was really cool. I mean, you know, like going back to what I was telling my daughter about, being having a positive attitude. All these things add to it. Like, getting out and playing in front of a crowd, which I am petrified to do. And I thought I was abysmal, but she asked me to come back. So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna step out there and do this stuff, and I don't care. I don't care if I go out there and I think I'm horrible, or I don't care if I'm asking a neighbor to get a beer and they say no. What can I lose, right? So I would say that's kind of what I'm learning now too. It's like, step out there, just do it, and don't worry about anything else.
Well, I
So,
have to say you were the first person that came to mind when I thought about inviting someone. And as you said, we haven't been in touch for a little bit, so it wasn't like
yeah,
a natural thing, but it was just like, oh, ask Paul. Like it was almost like Paul wants to do this, and I was like, okay, like I'm gonna reach out and just say, hey, do you want to do this? So I'm glad that you're in this beautiful yes opening mindset and joining me here.
well, I'd have to say, it's like when you had asked me, it wasn't even a second thought. I was just going to do it. And I didn't have to have a forward conversation prior. I didn't have to know what the questions were. I mean, you know,
Yeah, I remember your response.
again, what would I be afraid of? I mean, it's
Well,
what
it
are you
was
going
so
to ask me about?
well, and it was also great on the receiving end because your response was very. It was like, "Yes, I'm so excited!" Exclamation point. So it wasn't even like sure or even just yes. It was like, "No, I'm excited!" Exclamation point. I was like, "Oh, like how lovely for me to have found someone that's so excited to do this."
Right. And it could have been like, okay,
Yeah,
what are the questions you're going to ask me so I can prepare my answers?
yeah, exactly. So the other thing I was going to say is you said, you would consider yourself an extreme introvert.
Yes, I am.
I would not, I would not, I would not classify you like that. So that's interesting. My experience of you is, I would say you're introverted. Um, but there, you have such an outgoing, connective nature. Yeah, that I didn't know you classified yourself that way.
Well, the part of, being an extrovert and introvert really is like, how do you decompress,
Mhm.
and unwind? It's like an extrovert does that by being with community. An introvert does that basically by being by themselves. It's just like there are times where, like, I don't want to talk to anybody, and I'm good with that. And it doesn't mean that I'm mad at you, or or you've done something to upset me. It's just I don't feel like talking. That's it. It's like, you know we're good. We're good.
We're good. I like that. Well, that's another beautiful lesson to be learning. And I'm so glad that I caught you at the right time. Okay, your third question. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So let's say you have just moments before you're about to pass onward into whatever happens on the other side of death. What do you hope your last thought is?
So,
Now that you're almost 65, you have to
yeah,
start thinking about it.
and this may actually sound a little strange, okay? But I was asked this question just recently. Actually, my wife asked. I think she asked me. It's like you know, what are you afraid of, right? And
When you die, or just what are you
no,
afraid
just in general,
of?
right?
Okay.
And death, I'm not afraid of. I mean, death is just a transition. I'm not afraid of that. But what I am afraid of is being decrepit. I am afraid of that because, last year my mom passed, and my mom was 94. So I mean, it wasn't a tragedy, but I saw like her towards the end how basically she lost touch with reality, and it's that again, that's very common. My dad, who passed in 2017, he basically had neuropathy, which is a condition where the nerves in your legs die off and you lose mobility, and that's essentially what killed him too. Was he had a fall, went into the hospital, and never came out. So so to answer your question, and this may sound a little strange, but I'm hoping that my last thoughts, whatever they may be, will be coherent and and kind of nestled in reality. And I don't know what they might be, but I would hope that they would be something of this world, some sort of coherent thought. That's it, you know.
So if I were going to, um, are you more afraid of losing your mental prowess than your physical prowess as you age? Like you would rather have your body go sooner than your mind? Is that?
I would prefer that. Yeah, I would prefer that. I mean, yeah, and then plus I don't want to be a burden on my family. Like like they have to take care of me because I'm not capable of doing that anymore. So so I would say if um if I had my faculties and it was my last thought on earth, I would hope that it would be like, who's ever left, Erica, Kasha, my daughters, or my wife Carla, or grandkids, whatever the case may be, that, I'm glad you're here and I hope I wasn't a burden to you. I'm glad you're here by my side and I hope I wasn't a burden to you. That would be, I would say that would be my nice last thought.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's beautiful. Okay, and then this final one is an open-ended question. Is there a question I didn't ask that you, one, it's an either and or, you would like to answer, or you think would be really interesting for me to ask others?
Um, hmm. I didn't think about that. I would have to think about that for a second. Hmm. I'm not sure. I kind of don't know.
Nothing comes
Yeah,
up. Okay, that's
yeah, I'm
good.
not sure. I guess because I didn't really know what type of questions you were going to be asking. Um, I would probably ask like, and this may or may not be relevant, but is there a path not taken that maybe you wish you had done,
Oh,
right?
interesting.
Like in other words, if there was fork in the road,
Mhm,
and everybody has them, right?
mhm,
And it could have been like, why didn't I marry my college boyfriend or girlfriend, or why didn't I take this job offer, when I did? Why didn't I move to this city when I had that opportunity? I mean, I would say like, was there a fork in the road and a path not taken that you have some regrets over? I would say that would be an interesting question.
And if I were to ask you that question, what would you say?
Well, okay. there definitely were. Okay. But I don't regret it because I think that if I had done that, I wouldn't be where I am now.
Right.
I would say, like, yeah, I could have married my college girlfriend. But I think that if I had done that, I don't think I would be here now.
Mhm.
I know that sounds kind of morbid, but like everything leads into another, you know, another state of reality. Like, like I survived my heart attack in 2017 because I had really, been very focused on fitness and, avid cyclist and things like that. If I had married when I was in my mid 20s, I may not have ended up like that and would not maybe not have survived. So I would say no. I would say that there's definitely were like divergent paths that I could have taken, but I'm glad that I didn't because I wouldn't have been where I am now.
So I have a question that just I just thought of, and it isn't. It's a little bit more of: is there a decision you've made in your life that you wonder if it was necessary, or if you could have gotten here without that certain experience?
So a bad decision.
Well, or just a decision where you're like, did I really need to go through that to get here? Like, is there anything in your life where you question, did I really need to go through that to get here? Because
Well,
there is such a thing in my life, so I'm just wondering. I trust
well,
that I did need
you
to do that.
know, there's definitely things that I have done and I regret them. Okay, and and I to answer your question, I don't think that necessarily they've made me a better person because of it. And I would have rather had not gone through it. Okay. Um, but again, every it's like the butterfly effect. You know what I'm saying? Like if there was like an incident that happened in your life that you regret and you say, "Man, I wish I hadn't done that," right? If you hadn't done it, what effect would it have had moving forward into your life?
Right.
You don't know that, right? You enter that unknown, and you don't know what the outcome is going to be. It's like the monkey's paw, the story of the monkey's paw.
I don't know this
Where
story.
you have the three wishes, right? The monkey's paw, the three wishes. Well, anyway, um, so you ask the monkey's paw the wish, and the wish will be granted, but you don't know in what state how it's going to be granted. And in the story, like the woman asks, "Well, we're broke and I need money. So can you, monkey's paw, can you make me rich?" So it's like her husband drops dead and has a $200,000 insurance policy. So that's how the monkey's paw answers your wish. So I mean, the thing is, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of things in my past, especially in my younger days, which I regret doing. Um, I would have preferred not to do them, but like if I hadn't, what else would have changed? You know what I'm saying? Like it could have been, well, I never left New York. I mean, that could have been an outcome. If I never left New York, I mean, what kind of life would I have? I don't think it would have been as nice as this life as we have now here and on this island. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So
I think sometimes a poor decision is more powerful than a good decision.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing is, it's like the most abusive person in your life, like say your mother. Not to say that your mother was abusive, but I'm just saying there's your mother being, or whoever being that way, may have presented you with the strongest lesson, right? Like to give you an example, my friend who I went to the Bahamas with, he's extraordinarily successful. He's a physician. He lives in a $6 million house, drives a Austin Martin car, right? And he was complaining about his dad, how his dad was an underachiever, and his dad they always lived in an apartment. He wouldn't buy a house. All of his friends had houses. He wouldn't buy a house, and he didn't ask for raises. All this stuff. And I said to him, I said, Tim, if your father hadn't been that way, would you have been so driven to be so successful, right? So that's just like a lesson there.
Yeah.
Like these people who, maybe people have wronged you in your life. Maybe you've had abusive partners, abusive husbands, wives, whatever. Yeah, I mean, that was a struggle, and it had its emotional toll on you. But now you kind of know. You kind of know. It's like, well, this, my husband was like this, or my wife was like that. I know that there's no way on earth I would ever accept that again in my life. There's no way. So yeah, I mean, that's so the bad decisions, the wrong turns. Yeah, you don't want to have them. You don't want to make them, but in a way, I mean, they make you a stronger and a more complete person. When you get through it on the other end.
Um, well, thank you for sharing all of these
Hmm.
insights and tidbits and your wisdom
Thank
and
you.
your journey. Is there anything else you'd like to share? Any other thing?
No, it's just Shelley. We definitely have to talk more.
We do. We need to connect more.
Yeah, we definitely
Now,
have to
now
talk
that we've
more.
reconnected after such a long stint.
Yeah,
So
and you're always welcome to come out here to St. Helena Island
and
and
visit.
visit again after 3 years.
I have to say, the writing that I did in that winter I spent in Buford is still it's still a powerful effect in my life. Like I got,
Mm.
as you know, I mean, I was writing 8, 10, 12 hours a day every single day for 6 months. I just wrote and wrote and wrote. So it was a powerful time out there, and I appreciated the time we got to spend together. It was lovely. Um, so yes, I would love to come visit in the winter again. Winter in South Carolina is a slice of heaven for sure.
Yeah, now it's about 92 degrees. I don't know if
Yeah, I'll,
you'd
I'll
want to
skip
come
the
out there
summer.
now.
No, no. I'll wait. I'll wait. So, well, thank you again for being a fabulous, not only my first guest, but a fabulous guest. And I hope you enjoyed it.
I
Um,
definitely did. I
and
mean, yeah, it's always
yeah,
good to you have these thoughts in your head, and now you get them out. They become more reality.
yeah. And I wish you well in your retirement. That's very
Oh, I'm
exciting.
excited. I'm
I
totally
know
excited.
you're like it's gonna be a breeze. I can just already feel it.
Oh
You're
my
like,
God,
I'm
I
gonna
am so
live.
excited. There's so many things I want to do. I mean, and
Yeah,
we're here, so I can go to the beach every day. I mean, I could do kayaking. I could shoot my arrows in my backyard. I can play my keyboards. All these things I want to do.
yeah. I can't wait. Okay. Well, thank you again, my dear friend. Much love to you.
Yes, Shelley, I love you, and we will definitely talk again soon. Definitely.
Thank you.
Okay.